Hi, welcome back to the Waistline podcast. As always, or I guess for the second time, but it's always going to be me. I'm Lee Syatt, and I am your host. I am so thrilled to be here, so thrilled to talk to you again, and thank you. I don't know if you guys saw, if you don't follow me on Instagram, which I don't know why you wouldn't. We made it to the charts. We were like number 160 something on the American Apple podcasting charts for health, which, believe it or not, I can't believe I'm on the health charts. I thought I would be, but for like something bad. So it's amazing that we're here for something good. So thank you to everybody for doing that. If this is your first time coming in, we do have earlier episodes, and I am very excited to announce that I literally just recorded. I announced last week I had Shane Wally on, but just yesterday, in this same shirt. Don't judge me. I interviewed John Glaude from Obese to Beast. He lost, I believe, 180, somewhere between 160 and 180 pounds. He is a very interesting guy. I know some people. He does push some people's buttons. Apparently, according to him, his words, not mine. I thought he was a delight for me. A great episode, and we actually have a special guest who pops in a surprise. So that episode will be out in April. Shane Wally will be out in 2 weeks. Next week is my buddy Greg Benevent. And if you guys have any, I already got it. It was actually pretty cool. I got an email from, I believe his name is Dr. Vu, Vuu. He wrote a book. I do gotta say, with and all doctors, any expert I have on here, I went to art school. I am qualified to do almost nothing, except for telling you how to get fat. So when I have an expert on here, I'm going to interview them to the best of my ability. I am going to read Dr. Vu. If Dr. Vu doesn't ever end up coming on here, it's because his book might have been kind of, if I can tell that you're crazy, then we might have an issue. But so far he seems nice. I am not a doctor. Hope that's very obvious. B, not an expert in health or of any kind. So with anybody who we have on here, I just want to talk to them and get their point of view. Please consult your physician. Yeah. I'm scared of the doctor. I need to get over that. Actually, I was going to re-release it on here, but if you want, I have a podcast called What Was I Thinking? And I did have an episode on there with a doctor, and it's called A Fat Dude Asks a Doctor All of the Questions He Was Afraid to Ask, or something like that. Maybe I should re-release it on here. I'll have to think about it. Maybe I will just re-release it as an episode on here. But if you're interested in listening to it now, it's available for you there. And that is the last of my pitch. I was so happy with the response last week, and I really do think we're going to grow this together. It's a slow grow because I know, thankfully, not everyone has to lose weight. If you're coming back and listening to this later on, a year or two down the road, when we're part of Barstool or I have my own health television show, jokes. Although Barstool, I would, that'd be fun. Just saying. But if you're coming back to start at the beginning, I am currently, I'll tell you the exact day. It is March 21st of 2021, 3/21/21, and I weigh, I don't know exactly. Last week I weighed in at 280. I started at 336 on, I believe it was December 2nd of 2020. It's the highest I've ever been, and hopefully will ever be. And I am hoping, my first goal was to get under 300, and now that I'm under that, my next goal is to get under 200. And I'm hoping to be at, we'll see, it's gonna be close. But my birthday is July 20th. I accept all gifts. But my goal as of right now is to hopefully get as close to, if not reach, 100 pounds lost by July 20th. So that's what? Like 44 pounds, I guess. Did I just do that math right? I think I did. Wow. Look at me. So it's around 44 pounds. We'll see if I hit it. It's a lot. It is an ambitious goal. I'll lose it eventually. But that's my short term goal, or shorter term goal, is by my birthday to hit 100 pounds lost, and then the next long term goal is to get to 200, which I have not been since high school, which would be fantastic. It would be really. It's gonna be an emotional day when I see a 1 before the number. Yeah, I haven't seen that for a very long time, and it's embarrassing. Because I shouldn't even be close to 200, but I am, and I gotta say I'm very appreciative of everyone, not even just for listening to the podcast, but just in general, the support. Obviously, you're gonna have some knuckleheads who make comments, but that's just life. And you know what? It's really tough because, especially, I don't know if all big people are sensitive, but I'll just speak for myself that I'm a sensitive boy. And I'm not ashamed to admit it hurts my feelings. I've gotten used to it over the years, but for those of you who are new to this, don't let it get to you, or try your best to push it out of your mind. I'm I say to myself, I don't really say it to anybody else. The block finger is strong. I love blocking people. So, if you post something, and you get negative comments, just block them, delete them. You don't need them in your life, and just keep going. Because hey, it's like I said. I think I said this on a podcast. I do so much talking now. That it's sort of like I used to play blackjack a lot. So when I would push, I had I love small talk. I'm good at small talk, not really serious conversations one-on-one. But I used to love to joke with the dealer. I'd go, well, it's better than losing. So to flip that, even if you stay the same, it's better than gaining. So even if you have a bad week, at least you didn't gain 4 or 5 pounds. And if you did, that stinks. I'm sorry that you're going through that. I hope you can figure out why it happened, or if you know why it. We all know why it happened. We ate too much. But I've been there. I've been there way too many times. So, just get back on it. The thing that I messed up with is when I start messing up, it's hard for me to get back on track. So I give up too easily. With a lot of stuff in my life, I give up too easily in work, and if things aren't going easily, if it's not easy, I don't like it. And unfortunately, not everything is going to be easy, but I do think it always used to bug me when people would tell me that people don't like their jobs. I'd be like, why? So you can like what you're doing even if it's not easy. Like that, there's a way to make it work for you, which is why I like OMAD. So that Lee, look at you, transitioning into the topic of the day. So last week we talked about my history, and I'm going to do a little bit of that today just to frame what I'm about to tell you. But what I'm going to end this episode with is how I'm eating, how I'm losing the weight now. And this could change in the future, but for right now, this is what I'm doing. And then I announced already the new episode, the new guests that are coming up, but also I talked last week about having you guys on. So this is what I want to tell you. I would love to have all of you on. I can't promise that all of your calls will make it on, or how long it will take to get on. But I will do my best to get as many people as you want on as possible. Just to let you know, this is a podcast and it is a YouTube video, so people will see it and probably hear it, hopefully. So just be okay with that. I would not be, in the witness protection program, holding up a gun, or unless it's legal. Who cares? But just be aware, it is live. Or not live, but it is going to be recorded and distributed. So as long as you're okay with that, the best way to get in touch with me is Waistline. podcast. If you don't know how to spell that, it is in the artwork of and wherever you are, it's already written out. But if you need me to spell it, it's Waist, Waistline, one word, Waistline podcast at gmail.com. If you don't know how to spell podcast, there's not really much I can do for you. So you can email me there and let me know that you'll be interested in coming on. Also, what I originally was going to do was have voicemails and play the voicemails. What I think would be better, and it's going to be interesting, we'll see how long this takes editing wise. I am going to try to limit people, I think, to like 5 to 10 minutes max per conversation. We'll see. If you have an amazing story, maybe it'll be a longer one. But I'm really basing this off of the Waistline, the Love Line show that I'm ripping off. So that's what my thought is. So you can either email me there, or I knew I said I was going to get a non-Google Voice number, but if you would like to leave me a voicemail, and you'll have to spell out your email address, but the phone number to leave a voicemail is 774-314-8425. That's a lot of fours. 774-314-8425. Leave a voicemail and spell your email out. I was going to say shortly, but I'm looking for slowly. That's the word I'm looking for, slowly. I talk for a living. But yes, so you can leave a voicemail there if you want, but like I said, email is probably better. So these 2 episodes, at least for now, are going to be the only ones where it's just me. I have 3 guests lined up, 3 great guests, actually already all recorded, that I'll be releasing every Tuesday. And then maybe after the Obese to Beast one comes out, which will be in 3 weeks, because I have Greg, and then I have Shane, and then I'll have John. But once that comes out, maybe we'll do our first episode with you guys calling in. So to do that, I'm going to do it on Zoom. So please call in and or email me, and we'll schedule a quick Zoom between us. And I can't wait to talk to you. So to tell you what I'm doing now, I want to tell you how I used to eat. I think I said it last time, but if I didn't, the way I like to describe how I used to eat is I was eating like a jerk. It was just true. And it really started when I was like 16. Really, when I was older than 16, like 16 and a half, when I got my car. I always had a problem when I was younger, but it really took off when I got my first car, which was a turquoise Chevy Cavalier, fancy, a Rally Sport Edition. I don't know what that meant. It means nothing. It was a disgusting car, but I loved it. It was $2,000, and I paid for it by myself. And that car was like freedom for me. And I wasn't really like I wasn't really going to parties. I could probably count on my hands how many parties I went to in high school. But I would drive to work, and I would drive to eat, and like a couple friends' houses. But most of my friendships like revolved around, not completely around food, but like, so today my dad and I'm leaving Florida. By the time this comes out, I will already be on the road. But we went to, there's an Asian supply store near him, and I got like some Chinese mustard, and I got a bunch of cool things. But my buddy Aaron, my best friend in high school, we would go to a place in Boston, which I don't know. If you're in Boston or the Boston area and you know if it's still open, please let me know. There used to be a Asian market / food court by BU called Super 88. And I think maybe it was a small chain. I think some of them are open, but maybe that one closed. But we used to go all the time and just we'd get Korean food, the short ribs. Oh God, that's where I found my love for kimchi. And then we'd go and get like poke and just stay, like, not the sushi bowl, the cookies dipped in chocolate. Delicious. But we got those, and we would just go get snacks all the time. And then like I had a buddy, 2 buddies, Zori and Darren, who we would go all the time. We would go to not TGI Fridays, Ruby Tuesdays. That was the name of it. We go to Ruby Tuesdays because they had a good happy hour and like appetizer menu. And then because at my high school, not every day, not everyone got it, but when you were, I think, a junior and a senior, you could get, if you had a full lunch period, like there were like, it was like 3 20-minute lunches, but you could somehow get your schedule to sometimes it's called full lunch. So you'd have an hour and a half, and it was awesome. And we would drive about 20-30 minutes to a place called Tennessee's, still there. And they're still good. They have grilled barbecue wings. Who knows? They might fry them before, but they grill them at the end, and they are so good. And the French fries are so good, but I can't eat them anymore. I could probably maybe have the wings, but probably not. But we would go there once a week and eat, and it was just. I mean, I've always eaten, but yeah, like that car. I'm sorry, I was tasting the wings for a second. The car would really allow me, the car and the job really allowed me to eat what I wanted. Because my mom always cooked, still cooks, and like I wasn't, like, one of my favorites, I like Kix and I like Life cereal because my mom was very strict about like no sugary cereals for breakfast. And we would have occasional treats. I mean, I'm not saying, trust me, we weren't a vegan household or anything. But like the when I really started going off the rails was when I was in control of what I was eating. McDonald's, like fast food was always big for me. Not as big because like I couldn't, not that I had to hide it, but like my mom cooked dinner. So like I would get fast food when I was coming home late from work, or yeah, the fast food really didn't, I guess, take effect until I got to LA, which I'll talk about in a minute. But even when I had, like, I remember, God, it sounds so old now. Kids, before Grubhub, you could only get delivery from restaurants that actually delivered. So I remember, like, very occasionally, we'd get like Thai delivered or pizza, but not very often. We'd go out to eat fairly regularly, and we'd go pick up pizza. Shout out to Rossini's in Concord, not the Sudbury location. You were not as good. The Concord location is awesome. But we would go out to eat, but delivery was not really a thing as much. I do remember one of the things, it's weird. I was trying to think of like when I got bullied for being fat, and I'll never forget, there was this kid. To be honest, I kind of remember his name, but not really. And I'm not going to mess with him now because it was 15, 20 years ago, but it still hurts. I remember I ordered Domino's. I think my mom was working at that point. And I ordered Domino's to the house, and I remember he opened the door. We went to high school together, and he was giving me my stuff, and he's like, I think he said it to joke around, but then I think he realized he hurt my feelings because we weren't that close. I just knew of him, and he's like, I think he said something to the effect of like, I was about to go home before your fat ass called, and like as I was paying him. So like I want to think that I remember not giving him as good of a tip or something, but when I had money, I tell you that to tell you when I had money is when like the bad food started really kicking in. And it was bad in Boston, but not real. Like I was looking at a picture of me when I turned 21. I was just I was fat, but I was like chubby fat. Like something I would kill for now. But I had to walk a lot. So it kind of kept it a little bit under control. I in my head, it's so weird. Like I don't feel like I have body dysmorphia. But to me, it's like, now looking back, I would kill for that body that I had. As the person, when I was in that body, when I was that age, I felt fat. I felt like the same level of dislike, or I don't want to say hate. I don't hate myself. a little. I guess I have like the normal amount of hate. But I feel similarly now as I did then. And I was like, oh, if only I knew then what I know now, that I'm not that fat, or I wasn't that fat. But yeah, really, I remember. I remember because I interned in LA the summer before I moved there full time. And I was living in like, not a hostel, but it was, I remember the name of the company. It was called Happy House. If you're still there, this is not your fault. It wasn't the worst houses, but it wasn't like I remember I actually made them move my room to a different house because I got in there and like the shelves in the room were like in a closet, but it was just cardboard. And I probably should have stayed in the other house because the beds were just two mattresses stacked on top of each other. It's kind of gross. It was fine, but not great. And there was a kitchen, but it wasn't like you can imagine if it's just a bunch of random people for $800 renting a room. It's not like the nicest place. So I remember like constantly getting fast food. Like when I say constantly, like I mean probably every day. And if not every day, the majority of days. Not when I was out. Like I usually wouldn't eat breakfast. Almost never. I said it, you'll hear it on the next episode with Greg. But the way television shows work is they don't want you ever to leave and stop working. So they have like small snacks. And my first job in LA had, I'll always remember, I'd walk in and they had a cabinet against the far wall and they had the honey oat, the green Nature Valley bars, and I would take one of those and a Diet Coke, and that'd be my breakfast. And I would go get like a burrito or a food truck or something like a burger, but like a good burger, not like a fast food burger. Because it's weird. Like I didn't mind eating burgers, but just like coming back to the office with fast food, I felt like not even prejudged. Like I felt like they would judge me. So I didn't really eat fast food in public, really. Yeah, I guess not really. I still really don't. Well, I don't eat any fast food right now, but there were 2 shifts I worked in LA. The first one, the day shift, was 10 p.m. to 7. But I usually really had to leave by like 8:30 because morning traffic in LA was awful. It took like at least an hour to get there. So like I'd be gone from probably like 8 to 8:30. Like, yeah, like I'm talking like 12 and a half hours. Like I would leave, I'd work a full day. It's not back-breaking work, but it was so funny. If you're still in school right now, I remember distinctly that it's like, I thought I was busy, like the same way I thought I was fat. I thought I was busy in life in school. And then when I had to like work a full-time office job, I was like, oh, there's like no breaks. Like, because in college you can go back to your room, take a break, take a nap, whatever, watch some TV. And like, can you believe it? Like at work, they like expect you to work like all day, like straight through, no real break. And I can't believe it. I would have loved to take a nap. But I would remember just being so tired that I didn't even want to stop and like not like cooking was out of the question. And I didn't even want to like get out of my car and go into a restaurant. Not that I really could have afforded it at the beginning. And I'll tell you, I don't know the exact number. I haven't gone through credit card statements, but I have an estimate of probably what I spent over my 9 or 10 years in LA. And it's God, I wish I had cooked. But I just wanted to as fast as possible, and that's the drive-through. And I would go, but I was self-conscious about it because I would go to different locations every night because I actually, to skip forward a little bit, another reason why I would eat a lot of fast food is because once I left my first job, and even for a while at my first job, for those of you who don't know, an assistant editor, especially for reality TV shows, they usually have a bunch of cameras. Like I worked on Hell's Kitchen, and they had 20 plus cameras because there was a house and the kitchen area, and so I had there's a few tasks you do, but for the majority of the time, an assistant editor's job, it's called grouping. So you would go through, and at some point import the footage, or the footage already might be imported for you. And if it's imported, you have to take all the cameras and the audio, everyone's audio track, for that day or that time period, and sync them up. And sometimes they have time codes, sometimes they don't. Sometimes, like, I still to this day hate GoPros because there's no time code at all, and it was it wasn't impossible, but it was very hard sometimes to sync it up. And there's a process which you don't really need to know or care about, that you go through. It's not hard. You can teach a monkey to do it, but because they taught me to do it. But you sync it up. And I'm telling you this because even on bigger, more expensive or more funded shows, they had the editors who were cutting the show together would work during the day, and I, the assistant editor, would work at night from 7 p.m. to 5 a.m. That was my most usual shift. There's also graveyard, midnight to 9 a.m., and I only did that like once or twice. That's tough. I actually didn't mind the 7 p.m. to 5 a.m. shift. It just kind of turned me into a vampire. But it wasn't bad. But health-wise, it's terrible. A, the sleeping, it really messes with your sleep. But B, like your lunch break isn't usually until like midnight, something like that, 11 p.m. And when you're getting off for dinner at 5 in the morning, or 4 in the morning, really the only thing open, especially because you don't want breakfast food, or I didn't. And if you're not willing to cook, I would go to fast food places. But especially when I was working in Hell's Kitchen, there weren't a ton of 24-hour fast food places near me. So I had to go to the same location fairly regularly. And I didn't go every day to this one location, but I went enough, and I'll never forget it. She was trying to be nice, but it scarred me for life. I was in the Jack in the Box drive-thru, and there was this one lady who always worked the overnight shift. And I remember that I got my food, and she goes, "See you tomorrow." And I was like, no. I don't know who I was tricking. I don't know who I could have possibly thought I was fooling, but I just didn't. I hated that she knew me. So I don't remember if I ever even... I went back, but I don't remember. I think I avoided it for a while. But I would just... I remember like taking bags of trash out, and it was just all fast food bags. It would be fast food bags and the big cups, and sometimes I would stuff the bag into the cup to save room, but then it would just be cups and straws and bag. Like, I just remember it was full of just the same stuff. And I think I'll just tell you now, I guess. If I had to guess, I did the math. I would guess that I probably spent over 10 years at least $100,000 on fast food. Because I did the math, and I'll even let's see, where's my phone? Here it is. So I did the math last night. Let's just say, and this I guess is for all food, because it's not just fast food, but eating out. So let's just say it's $15 a meal, times 2 is $30 a day, times 7, and I would cook occasionally. So this isn't like, it might be a little bit, there's a room for error, but let's just assume that for the majority of times I did that. So that's $210 a week times 52 weeks a year is about $11,000, $10,920. And I was there for almost 10 years, a little under 9.5. So let's just say 10 times 10 years, and that's $109,000. And so I would guess that it's somewhere between 80. I would guess it's at least 80 grand, probably closer to 100. And I wish. I mean, obviously, it's not like I would have had $100,000 in my pocket. I had to eat something. But the amount of money I spend on eating out is outrageous. God, yeah, I wish I had like 50,000 of that back. But like even when I would go to grocery stores, it is amazing. Because and I do hate. I try not to say that. I do believe food is an addiction, 100%. I think mentally, and I know that some of the fast food and candy and the junk food companies like have chemicals in there that actually do addict you. But just me personally, I feel like a jerk when I know that there's people addicted to like heroin. I'm like, I'm addicted to cheeseburgers. I just can't stop. So I do have an issue saying that. But the thing that I think sets it apart, and everyone always says, oh, but we always have to eat. You still have to eat. So it is hard. It's true. You still do have to eat. So that is something to take into account when you're losing weight. But I think the very interesting thing that no one really ever I hear talking about is how readily available it is. Like, and what I mean by that is like I said, I think I put $100,000 worth of at least of junk food and fast food on a credit card in 10 years. A Citi or Capital One never called me and said, Lee, you seem to be going to McDonald's 4 times this week. You okay? Nope. No one at McDonald's ever said, hey, you're coming here too much. They'd say, thank you. No one at the grocery store was ever like, have you thought about maybe buying a vegetable? It's just so, like it's with the other addictions, I guess maybe not alcohol. Alcohol might be the same way. But like the hard addictions, like the cocaine and the heroin, like it's illegal to buy. So you run into issues there. So that I think is very tough. But like, yeah, my grocery carts, I looked like I was like a stoned 12-year-old, and I was a stoned like 20-year-old something, which we'll talk about in a minute. But like my entire grocery cart would be like diet soda, maybe some water bottles that I would never drink, and like the healthiest thing might have been like bagels and cream cheese, but it would be like Oreos, chips, candy, tons of candy, Pop-Tarts. What else did I like? Like maybe a sandwich meat, maybe. But you like cookies, peanut butter and jelly, just like stuff that like, people have like once a week. My entire cart would just be full of it. And I remember looking down and like, this looks kind of crazy. Like having Oreos and Pop-Tarts in the same cart. And I'd be like, oh, and ice cream, tons of ice cream. When I first got to LA, this didn't last very long because it was hard. But I would make on Saturdays, every Saturday for like a few months, a couple months at least, I would get chocolate chip pancakes. No, and not get. I would make chocolate chip pancakes. And then you can't forget, like I would make sure I had like sour cream and not as often, but blue cheese in the house. Like, because it still makes me angry. Like when you order wings from a place and you even pay extra for the blue cheese, like 5 out of 10 times Domino's is forgetting your blue cheese. It just happens. So I would have that in the house if I knew I was having wings. But like basically I would eat Mexican food because it was a way to get sour cream into my mouth. So I would very regularly have sour cream in the fridge. What else would I have in the fridge? Always Diet Coke, always. pudding, but I guess that might not be as bad. But what I did have a lot in the fridge, a lot, was like occasionally when I would try one of my many diets and have good food in there, I would have that. Or like I said last week, I tried every single food delivery service from Nutrisystem to Freshly to Trifecta, and I must have like to add on to that $100,000. I also would buy all that stuff and then just keep it in there, keep buying food, and then eventually throw that stuff away when it went bad. Like this diet, I'm almost positive was the first time that I've bought and finished a container of salad dressing. I must have done it before at least once, but I just remember having like, whenever I'd move, I would have like 5 or 6 a quarter used salad dressing containers, and like one of those was blue cheese for wings. So like I would let stuff go to waste. Like I would like, because the different food delivery services are of varying taste. Nutrisystem is pretty gross. I'm sorry. If you want to sponsor me, probably isn't going to work. If you're on Nutrisystem, I hope it works for you. If you don't know, they send you like a month's worth of food in one box. So it must just be full of sodium and preservatives. But what would happen is I'd be okay for a little bit, and I remember they had pizzas that were not bad. Like, well, they were the best of a bad situation. So I'd make all of those in like the first week, and then by the end I would just like they had some disgusting ones. Like the lasagna was awful. But even with the better ones, like Freshly was okay. Trifecta's okay. It's not bad. It's not as bad as Nutrisystem, but like you would have to order it. Blue Apron's not really all health, but it's healthier, I guess. You'd have to order it like a week or two in advance. So like I would justify eating out by saying, "Oh, I don't want this now. I should have just eaten it." But I remember sometimes putting them in the freezer. Sometimes like, I know I didn't eat this for a week and a half, but I remember I would Google like how long can you freeze this stuff for, and I would eat some of it, but I must have thrown out hundreds, if not a couple $1,000s worth of food over the years, which is depressing, and it's not a good way. I feel terrible doing it. It's not. Especially in LA, there's tons of homeless people. So like I would remember like bringing bags of trash down to the dumpster that were just full of like these health meals that I just didn't eat. Like they were gone. They were bad. I probably should have found a place to donate them, but I'm not a perfect person. I'm not. What's that song? I'm not gonna sing. You guys don't need to hear that. But I tried all of them and none of them worked. Let's see here, because I have notes. I am prepared. Oh, this is one. About the fast food. I remember vividly, I woke up at 4 a.m. and I was just like bored. It was like a weekend. I was bored and I couldn't fall back asleep for like 20 minutes. And I was like, you know what? Taco Bell's open. I'll go there. So like that's how much of a hold it had over me. Oh, so there are 2 things, and then I'll end the episode this week with how I am eating now. I guess I have to address it. So some of you know me. I'm hoping that with the Waistline, I can reach a much broader audience. But for those of you who are listening now, you might know me. I used to be on a different podcast, and on that podcast in California, marijuana was legal, and I partook. And I'll just say it: marijuana doesn't make you fat. I cannot blame marijuana for me being the size that I am. I will say that it was a performance enhancing drug for eating. I don't think I used to have a joke, that, and it's just true. Like the joke was I don't think that like fat people should be allowed to smoke weed. And that's a joke. I guess that's kind of a mean joke, but it was just like I already don't have willpower, like in a normal situation. And marijuana just, it opens the floodgates for eating. I remember once, and I never went back there, I ate so much Mexican food that I had gotten sick on marijuana a couple times, but I ate just literally. I remember the order. I ordered steak nachos, and it was a huge plate, and I was like, I want a quesadilla, so I'll just order it, and it came with rice and beans, and I ate literally so much that it just ran out of space, and I got sick. Like there are people with food and eating disorders, and that's not. I mean, I guess maybe overeating is an eating disorder by itself, but like I wasn't trying to get sick. I just literally ate so much Mexican food that there was no more room in my body, so it had to go somewhere else. And it was just like, so now I really don't. Maybe once or twice a week. No, sorry. Once or twice a month, tops. Not once or twice a week. And I still do enjoy it on occasion, not to the level that I used to. But I just know that while I'm losing weight, that's not something that I can have, because I just can't control myself even a little bit when I do it. And I'm really enjoying losing weight. I was going to say getting healthier, but I don't, this sounds bad, and I do want to be healthy, but I don't feel different, and I'm sure I am. I'm definitely breathing a lot better. But I'm sure I am getting healthier, but to be frank, this sounds bad, but I'm just going to say it. I don't really care as much about the health. Like I do. I know I don't want to die. And I know that I'm getting healthier. But to be honest, the reason why I want to lose weight is probably vanity. I don't really have much of it. I've never really had much of it. But I don't like the way that I look when I'm heavy. And I've lost a bunch of weight, and it feels great to wear clothes that did not fit at one point. But just to be, keep it 100, as the kids say, me losing weight at the moment is out of vanity. And that, I mean, that's a sad thing to say, I guess, but it's just true. I'm always going to try to be honest with you guys. So we're at the end of the episode, so I wanted to talk about now what I am doing now. Like I said, it is the end of March. It's March 21st, I believe. Yes, March 21st. You're hearing this on March 23rd, or anytime after. Hopefully you listen the day it comes out, every Tuesday morning. But I am down roughly 55 pounds. We'll see the day this comes out, I will have had a weigh-in. So hopefully I'm down another 2, 3, 4, 5, 18 pounds. No, probably like 2 or 3, I would imagine. That's usually what it is a week. So I'm down between 55 and 60 pounds. And I'm really not trying that hard in a weird way. I'm being very strict with myself, and I'm sticking to. I had a mess up. I mentioned it on my Instagram. I had a mess up last week, but not even a bad one, but I did mess up. I'm doing OMAD, it stands for 1 meal a day, and that's part of intermittent fasting. And I do have a Patreon. I say this to tell you, I do workouts on there, but I also talk with my brother, Jordan Syatt, Syatt Fitness, who you might have heard if you're in the, and he will be a future guest on here. If you're interested in that sort of stuff, you might have heard of him. And so I have him on there to talk about different topics. And one of them was intermittent fasting. And there are some benefits, he said, and I don't know the science behind it, but there are some benefits to fasting. However, he said the real benefit or the real reason to intermittent fast is just to make it easier to be in a caloric deficit. And that just means eating less calories than you burn, so that you burn that weight off, and it slowly makes fat go away. Makes fat go bye-bye. So I am doing OMAD for one simple reason. I am doing it because I get to eat sort of regularly. Pretty much I don't really hold back. But I have to clarify that. For some people are asking, you only eat once a day? Yeah, I eat dinner. It's usually sometime between 6:30 and 7:30. I do try to keep it as late as possible. You can do it whenever you want in the day, from what I've heard. Again, not a medical professional. Said that already. But the reason I choose to eat later is nighttime was always a struggle. Even when I was on a regular diet, as they say, it was always a struggle for me. Like, I'd be great during the day. I'd have a salad or like a grilled chicken sandwich with no French fries, and I'd be really great. And then nighttime would come, and the demon would come out, and it would I'd ruin my day. So I choose to eat later in the day for that reason, so I can be as full as possible when I fall asleep. Because I've had trouble mentally falling asleep, even just in general. But when I'm hungry, I'm like, oh, I need a snack. I'm like a 2-year-old. I need a snack. But I eat once a day. My brother, when we first started, and I'm still to this day, he said to be somewhere between 1,800 and 2,000 calories, and I would lose weight. I almost never hit 2,000, and I even rarely hit 18. The way I do it now is I like to be between 1,500 and 1,700. There are some days that I'm even below that, but I weigh in once a week. I usually weigh in on Tuesday afternoon, like before I eat dinner, so I can lose as much weight as possible during the day. And I weigh in on Tuesday afternoons. And so what I do is on Tuesday nights, my Tuesday dinner, I will give myself a little bit of a bigger window. I'll let myself get up to 1,900 calories. I always try to stay below 2,000, and I think I've done a pretty good job about it. I don't have a food scale, so I am guessing for some stuff, and I probably should get a scale, but I don't have one right now. So yeah, that's a good point. Maybe I should get a food scale. But I use MyFitnessPal to track all my calories, and that's also good. There's something called like Calorie King, I believe is the website. If you Google, like, Google's your friend. There's a bunch, and there's also, if you go out to eat, there are a lot of restaurants who put their nutritional information on there. Now, it's a little tough because they don't, sometimes, who knows, maybe they put more cheese on it than they're supposed to, or they put a bigger serving than they're supposed to. So it's always a little bit, it's not exact. But that's how I count calories. And from Tuesday to Thursday-ish, I allow myself to have a little bit more to eat. For the most part, I have like stuff that I do try to have a salad 4 to 5, if not more, times a week. And that just means I get like the American bag. It comes with like lettuce, shredded carrots. I think it has radishes, but I don't really ever eat the radishes. And then I have a cucumber. I have between a half to a whole cucumber cut up, which I think is a good way to get water. Again, not a medical professional, but I don't really like water that much, so I've heard good things about cucumber, and I like cucumber. So I have that. I also usually have carrot sticks, and then I'll put a handful of croutons, a small handful, and I found, it's in the closet because I couldn't find it up north, but I found it down here. Kraft makes a really, I started off with light Caesar dressing, and that was 90 calories for 2 tablespoons. When I was down here, I fell in love with this Kraft Greek dressing, and it has, I believe, 50 calories for 2 tablespoons. So with the calories that I save with the salad dressing, I also put very little on my own. And I always overestimate in MyFitnessPal. I always try to be over. I don't pick the lowest calorie option. I don't pick the highest. I always try to go somewhere in the middle. And I also put reduced fat or no fat feta cheese on my salad. And it's great. Greek salads are delicious. Gotta say, like last night, give me 1 second actually. Normally, like on the bigger days, I'll have pasta if I'm gonna have. I haven't had pasta in a long time, but maybe I'll have pasta. I also like Barber because another big thing for me cooking wise is I really need it to be easy. If it's too intensive, either cooking or cleaning, it's not gonna be something I can do a lot of because I'm lazy. So one of the things that I really love, and I know there's probably too much sodium in it, but Barber has a frozen, and it's not even cooked yet, it's raw, but it's a frozen stuffed chicken breast, and I get the chicken cordon bleu kind, and it's, I believe, $2.70 each, and there's 2 in a pack, or 6 in a pack, but the 2, so that's $5.40, so I'll have that, and maybe some pasta or some rice. I do my veggie mixture right now is I love doing sauteed onions, mushrooms, and green beans. That really goes with almost everything. I really like shake and bake on chicken. That is one of my go-tos a lot. I really like making egg sandwiches. So I'll either make some toast or, to be honest, the last couple times I didn't even toast the bread, and it was even better. And I'll tell you about the bread too in a second. But my egg sandwiches, I'll usually use spray butter. I'll toast the bread. Spray butter has 0 calories, I'm almost positive. And I'll make like 2 egg sandwiches, like 2 eggs each. And I'll put a piece of cheese, reduced fat if I can find it. But non-reduced fat is usually about 90 calories a slice. And then I'll make turkey bacon. It's not as good as regular bacon, but if you get it crispy, and I recommend making it in the oven, 400 degrees, I think it's 10 minutes on each side, somewhere around there. Some ovens are different, so check on it, but I like it crispy. So I'll cook that in the oven, and I'll put the egg. You have 2 options. I have made it with scrambled eggs, and I like that. I prefer over easy, but it is messier, so just be aware of that. So I'll put the 2 eggs, the slice of cheese, the crispy turkey bacon, and I'll put sriracha on top, and guys, it is good. Occasionally I'll have, Eggo has whole wheat waffles, and I'll put sugar-free syrup on there, but it's a little bit much. That's the one thing, and I'll get to that at the end, is the one thing that I really do feel like I'm not having a lot of is dessert. And it just really shows you how bad sugar is. And I'm going to have a comedian named Dean Del Rey on who lost a ton of weight. He looks great. He lost a ton of weight by cutting out sugar. So we are going to talk to him about that. So early in the week, I'll have stuff like that, like the egg sandwiches. Amazon's pretty good. I know you're supposed to go no chips. I do have the carrot sticks almost every meal, but my big thing, like I'm really, as long as I'm counting calories, and I've lost over 50 pounds in just over 3 months, I guess. So Amazon is pretty good because I told you I don't have a scale. If I buy like a big bag of the baked chips, I don't count that, like it's a serving is like 15 chips. So like I'll try to go like 1, 2, 3, and I'll do it, but then like if one's broken, I'm like, well, that doesn't count, so I'll throw that in. And it's hard to be as strict with yourself. What I like that Amazon has is they have like 40 packs of the chips. So I'm looking at it right now. I have a 40 pack of baked chips, and then I also got a 40 pack of the Smart Food popcorns. And those are great because those are 80 calories a bag, and the baked chips are 110 calories a bag. I don't have that written down. This is just how often I'm eating them that I know exactly how many calories are in them. So I'll have like a bag or 2 of that. And by the way, I do take pictures of I just started like 2 weeks ago, but I take pictures of every meal and the calories, and I put it on on the Waistline podcast Instagram. But so I'll have that for dessert. Sometimes I'll have caramel rice cakes, which are pretty good. I also like Outshine. They have a regular popsicle, the small one, not the thick one, but the small, like popsicle size, are 45 calories. But they also have a no sugar added version, which tastes exactly the same, unbelievably, and it's only 25 calories for the popsicle. So like I have a lot of that. That's like really what I have for dessert. Um, but then like once it gets to like Friday or Saturday, I'll start eating less, and not necessarily less, but lower calorie. Um, because and then Monday night is I really try to go as low as possible, or light as possible, so I have a good weigh in on Tuesday. So I have a meal that I'll tell you about there. But like last night was Saturday, and I had actually a delicious meal. I made the Greek salad I just told you about, but I put a whole cucumber in it, which I don't do as often. I usually do half. And I had 2 leftover Costco Kirkland hot dogs, which I had. And I'll tell you about the bread now. Because bread, I really can't do without it. I could for a little bit, but it's tough for me. So the bread brand that I really like is Sara Lee, and there's store brand versions too, but there's a Sara Lee brand or product called Delightful. And they're 45 calories each. Occasionally, it's a little stale. I think maybe not a lot of people buy it, so sometimes it's not as soft as regular bread, but it's still, most of the times it's been fine. Maybe like the top piece is a little stale, but I just toast it. But for the most part, it's fine. I really don't, because I hate the bread with the seeds in it. I think that's disgusting. I'm sorry. I can't do it. So the Delightful is only 45 calories a slice, where like a regular slice of bread is usually between 90 to 110 sometimes. So you're saving like half of the calories and the same taste. So what I did, that's how I used that for the hot dog bun. And then what I did is I got a pound of chicken breast, and I put salt, pepper, red pepper flakes, and sriracha on it. And I just pan-seared it really nice. I like it brown, like not burnt, but like darker. And I ate that with the salad, and it was like, I can tell you exactly how many calories I had last night, roughly. Again, I don't have a food scale, so it's a little bit off. Yesterday I had 1261, and I'll tell you everything I ate. I had the salad with the croutons, the reduced fat feta, the Greek dressing, and the chicken breast. I do gotta say, I don't like the bag of carrot sticks has like calories on it. Excuse my French, but screw you. I don't count carrot stick calories. I just don't. So if I'm off a little bit, I do overestimate for everything else, but I don't count carrot stick calories. You can go to hell. So I had the pounded chicken breast. I had 2 hot dogs, 2 slices of bread, and an Outshine fruit bar, no sugar added. And that came out to 1261. Now, I know some people are going to be, that's too low. I don't have a very, what's the word I want? Like, I don't do a lot. I do my 4 workouts a week, 4 or 5 sometimes. And I work on a computer. So like if you like I said, for the 5th time, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nutritionist. I'm just telling you what's working for me. I don't have like a very physically demanding job, so the 1,300 calories that I had, like I said, I ate a pound of chicken breast and 2 hot dogs and a huge salad. To me, if I wanted more, I would have eaten more. But I was fine with it. And I also knew I'm leaving tonight or tomorrow morning, so my dad and I were going to have like this. I'll tell you what I'm having tonight. I'm having 2 bagels. It's $2.80 each, so that's $5.60. I got low calorie cream cheese, and we got lox. So I'm going to have bagels with lox and cream cheese, and I'm going to make a couple eggs and some turkey bacon. And I'll have a salad too. But that's it. That like it really isn't that hard. Like I do miss fast food. I do miss pizza. I miss cakes and candy. I miss candy a lot. But I just can't. It's not worth the calories right now. Like I know for a fact, how I just said, I was full after I ate. Like I ate literally, like the package was over a pound and like a pound 0.5, or no, not 0.5, but 0.05, like over a pound of chicken breast. I ate all that. I was full. If I could, I can go and order under 2,000 calories of fast food, but I know that I'll be hungry either that same night or very early the next day. So I just choose to eat this way for now. That's not to say I'll never have fast food again. I probably will. I'm just being honest. I'm not saying I'll never have it again. But I don't. I hope I can be strong enough to not fall back, because I've lost weight before and I've gained it back every time. So what I really need to do, and why I will continue this podcast, as long as you guys listen to it, is I need to be able to be accountable to you and make sure that I don't, when I am in the maintenance mode and eating maybe a couple hundred more calories a night, that I don't let it slip. And it happens slowly. Like you just go to a fast food once, or it's just you can't do it. I can go once, but I can't let myself get on that bad path again. So thank you guys for doing that for me, and I hope I can do the same for you. And that's it. That is really, I didn't tell you what I used to eat. So I guess what I'll tell, I'll just very quickly, when I would go to fast food, I was going to tell you this, is I would order a large meal, so a big sandwich, large fry, and then I'd usually get one or two, usually two smaller sandwiches, like dollar menu sandwiches. So like McDonald's, my meal was usually, and it did change a little bit, but it was usually be like a double quarter pounder with large fry and 2 McChickens. Or like at Wendy's, my order is kind of switched. It's a spicy chicken sandwich with 2 junior bacon cheese sandwiches. And I knew I was getting bad when I a couple times, I'm ashamed, but I'm not afraid to admit, I would get also a small fry, because I like putting fries in the sandwich, but I also like eating fries by themselves. So it just slowly but surely your tolerance goes up, so you start eating more and more, and so that's what I was eating fast food wise. But that's really all I really forgot to tell you. But again, I'm doing much better now. I really do want to thank you again. Email me, waistlinepodcast@gmail.com, or give me a call. Again, the email is probably best, and we are going to do this over Zoom. But if you do want to leave me a voicemail, which I won't, I'll when I start in a couple weeks doing the calls, I'll email you. I'm not going to call you. But if you would like to leave me a voicemail, 774-314-8425, and that might change later if I do decide to play voicemails, because I don't think Google Voice the quality is too great. But I want to be able to ask you questions, so we're gonna do these over Zoom, and that's how we're gonna do it. So again, waistlinepodcast@gmail.com. Email me there, and I'll have you on Zoom. And new episodes every Tuesday, you guys. Thank you so much for watching, or listening. If you're watching, it's available everywhere podcasts are available: Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. I think it's even on iHeartMedia, Google Play. And if you're listening, check out the YouTube channel. It's Waistline Podcast on YouTube. And that's it. Thank you guys so much for listening and watching. I will see you, or yeah, I'll see you and be here for you all the time on social media. Again, Waistline Podcast on at Instagram and Facebook, and Waistline Pod on Twitter. But I will be back next Tuesday with our first guest, Greg Benevent, a comedian in Los Angeles who has lost over 100 pounds. Yay, Greg! And don't forget, we have Shane Wally and John Glod coming up, Obese to Beast. And he is a beast. He's training for a triathlon. I can't believe it. I'm so jealous. Well, I'm never going to do that. I don't want to. I could maybe, but no, thank you. Thank you guys so much, and I will talk to you soon.